Well, I'm here with Mark Zahra, what I consider one of the funniest blokes I've ever met in the jockeys room. One of the jockeys who has probably the best hands in Australia and probably the most gifted balance. Thanks for joining me, Mark.
Cheers, Bossy.
How are you, buddy?
Good, mate. Thanks for those kind words.
So where did it all start for you?
As far as the hands, I couldn't even tell you how that happened. I never rode horses until I was 15. I wasn't brought up in racing. I just used to go to the races with my grandfather and my brothers, and he'd have a bet and we'd watch on and cheer the horses home. I remember people saying it was good to have your hands down, and I suppose I remember thinking I'm going to try my best to get my hands down, but I don't know. I guess it's something I was just lucky it came naturally that, yeah, I ended up having nice hands, and it's not something I concentrated on. It just happened, I guess.
Yeah, it's just probably natural, right? But obviously, you started in Perth. How long did it take you before you started, like, you know, your first winner and all that sort of stuff?
I started my apprenticeship was 16. I think I might have my first race ride when I was about 17, and I think it took me like 30 rides to ride a winner. I reckon even for the first 2 years, I didn't know what was going on. I just slowly picked up, and I was always willing to learn. And I think I was in Perth about a year and a half, and I didn't ride many winners. I probably only rode about, I don't know, 10, 15 winners. And I remember Peter Nucky and Patrick Carberry, two good jockeys over there, he said, oh, you want to go to Melbourne, try out for a year and just, no, not a year, sorry, 3 months. Try for 3 months with a trainer called Brian Cox in Wodonga. Just go, he goes, have a crack and just see how you go. I said, all right. So I told the family, I'm going to Wodonga. Didn't even know they would know where I was. I said, I'm going there for 3 months. I'll be back in 3 months, see how I go. And went for 3 months and never came home.
Never came home. No. It's unbelievable, isn't it? I think the first Group 1 in Australia was the Doomben Cup. I was there that day. And to celebrate with you, that was a pretty big moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a big thrill. I mean, your first Group 1 is always a massive thrill.
Yeah, I remember we were all there. We all got around you that day. The whole of your whole career must be the Caulfield Cup. Like, getting on that great mare.
Very elegant, kept it wide, one off the fence and out deep.
For me, it was a marriage that was in heaven. You know, like, she was a bit of a hard ride, but just the way you managed her, the way you got her to balance, and just there was a few things that you did in that race which I thought were exceptional.
You're right, it is definitely one of the biggest win of my career. It was a race day, I remember, she had a lightweight, and I remember thinking, even a month out, I've never been so focused, you know, because I thought, it's going to be a massive day. I think she had 55 and a half, I'm pretty sure, which, you know, is my minimum. And I just set myself, you know, a month of real, like, training, trying to stay off the booze as much as I could, you know, just being healthy. And I remember that day I had a heap of rides, and on those days, I don't like having many rides if I'm riding light, because you would know, you know, it sucks the life out of you. But I had nearly a full book, and I remember I won the first race, and, you know, it was just, I was on, you know, I was just on, I was seeing it well. And I wouldn't let it creep into my mind, but I was thinking I'd ridden 3 winners leading into the Caulfield Cup. You know, you can always bit back your thought thinking, I hope I haven't used my luck up too early going in. And I just didn't want to get to it. I remember just being as focused as I've ever been on a race day before the race, thinking, I'm just going to win this, it's going to be my 4th win of the day, and that's it, no one can tell me otherwise, you know, and just went, and obviously it worked out good, and you had a good run and got the money.
It's only 8 lengths first to last, very elegant, moving now into the race, only 3 off the lead and back behind.
There was a moment where you just made this conscious decision to pop out. That was your winning move.
It's well documented, she likes a bit of room, and I drew sort of middle, and I had to have a bit of a fight with Frosty. He was on another one of Waller's early to stay one off, but then I had him outside me, and the 3 deep lane was just outside me the whole way, and I was thinking, I want to be there, you know? And you know when you swing round onto that side bend at Caulfield, it can be a bit cheeky sometimes. You can just sort of just nip out, and I had a bit of a sniff before it, and I think Jai McNeil come up, and he was like, no. So I had to let him go, and I was just able to, boom, you know, I was there, and then I had no one outside me, and like you say, I think that was where the race was won right there.
Very elegant in front, and the fair won it.
You've got this great work balance. I've always admired that, because autumn, then you just completely switch off and you just go for 6 weeks, and everyone's kind of accepted it. That's, you know, Zah's gone. You know what I mean? Because he's partying for 6 weeks. You've kind of really got that good balance.
Yeah, well, like I said before, I'm not brought up in racing. It's not in my blood. I'm not, you know, when I'm away, I don't miss it at all. When I'm on, I come and do it. But I love my time away from it, you know. And we're fortunate that it's a good paying job, and if you work hard, you can earn great money. And so I work all through the year, but I set myself, that's the time. I research it, where I want to go. I book in the time. When I'm sweating in the bath, I'm looking at the restaurants, the nightclubs, the bar, everywhere I need to go, and I set the itinerary, and I just can't wait. I just go and have the time of my life.
What are your goals for the spring, and what are the horses that you think that can take you there?
My aim for the spring is always to win as many Group 1s as I can.
Yes.
And try and find horses that can win the big races. You know, I'd love to win a Melbourne Cup, a Cox Plate. I've got a few horses. I'm lucky I'm in with the Freedman camp at the moment, and they've got a lot of colts heading through. So probably got about 10 horses, I reckon, that are in the balance. And it's just by, you got to cull, pick the best ones. You know, that's the hardest part is, like, you know, sometimes you come in, you got an ammunition of all these horses, and you block in early and they don't live up to expectations, and then, you know, you don't do as well as you can.
What will be interesting this spring is all these 2-year-olds, they've all come through just wet track, wet track, wet track. So there's probably so many unexposed rising 3-year-olds because they've never seen a dry track.
Yep. The first sort of, I reckon, month is going to be telling as to who's any good, who's not any good. You know, it's I've got to be on the ball, I reckon, this
right.
spring.
Obviously, one of the key rides you're going to have this spring will be I'm Thunderstruck, who's arguably one of the better miler sprinters in Australia.
It's funny how it worked out. I had another horse of Price's called Elation, who is probably one of the better horses I've ridden. You know,
Yeah.
he did some amazing things. I was 3 for 3 on him in the winter, just prior to the winter, and I said, this is the real deal, this horse. But fortunately, you know, as I find myself in a bit this time of year, he won't get any of my weight. And I spoke to Mick, and he said, look, can't ride him because he's not going to get your weight, but how about I'm Thunderstruck? Look, it's not a bad consolation prize, and I tried him the other day, and I'm excited by him. He trialled very well. He looks great. He was a bit fat heading into, I reckon, last prep. Not that I rode him, but just looking at him riding against him. Yeah, I think he's one that I'm hoping I can win a Group 1 or 2 on him this spring, I reckon.
I'm Thunderstruck finishes hard, gets a nick in front and won the Toorak.
I personally don't think he's probably a Cox Plate horse, but, you know, you don't know, right? Because he's got another year under his belt, he's a bit more mature, and he's got a will to win.
Yeah. I'm sort of owed the ride on him because I remember when my wife was pregnant and we just had our baby, you know, it was Tuesday morning, and I said to her, look, I've just got to nip over to Caulfield. It was at the hospital. I said, I've got my stuff. I'm just going to nip over to Caulfield because there's a horse called I'm Thunderstruck in its trial. I said, I reckon it's a Group 1 horse. I think he's won one race then. Went and rode him, and then one way or another, I think I was either on holiday like I usually am or something, and I missed the ride on him, and I didn't get on him in the autumn, but I've always had a lot of time for him. And like you say, whether he's up to 2,000 top level, I'm not sure, but I think first up over 14 and maybe like a race like the Mackay Diva, I think he's a real life chance in a race like that.
Well, you're 40 now, so I dare say your next 5 years should be nearly your best. For most jockeys, that 35 to 30 or 32 to 38 is like that hot sweet spot. Yep. It kind of feels like you haven't hit your sweet spot yet. How do you feel like that's 100%. Where it is?
I don't reckon I didn't hit my peak until, I don't know if I hit my peak yet,
no,
but I don't think I got going like really good until like 35 onwards. I think I really started to, I don't know, just took me a while to get it, and a lot of the time I preferred to be away from racing more than here, where now I just aim to focus for those months, and when I'm there for those months, I'm really invested and enjoy it.
Great to have a chat. Mate, I really appreciate you spending some time with me. It's been a ball.
Cheers, Bossy. Good chat.
Mate.
Thanks very much.